Hello YouTube. I want to offer today a review of the Baume Mercier Capeland reference number MOA10083. I just want to do an unboxing of this and show you the watch. I accidentally bought this watch, and I'll tell you the story as I'm opening this up. I saw a review of this online and just fell in love with it. I've been looking, one of the things I've been looking for is a dress chronograph. I think those are incredibly good look, with sort of vintage styling, and this sort of fit the bill. And I looked it up on eBay and made one of those mistakes that I promised myself I wouldn't make. Instead of being really faithful to my watch goals, I got a little carried away and placed a bid on one of those bids where it was where I thought there's no way I could win it, but it would be fun if I did. And what do you know, I won it. So I bid $11.95 on this and won it. And these new at Joma Shop are around $1,400, and if you get them through an authorized dealer, you're talking about well into the 2000s on up. The retail price is $4,500 or something in that line, but of course I don't think anybody pays that. But let's open it up and look. And here we have the Baume Mercier Capeland. So let me tell you a little bit about what I'm planning on doing. I have this up for sale on eBay because it's not because I don't absolutely love it, which I do. It's just that it doesn't fit the watch goals that I've already set out for myself. So I've discounted it a little bit, so I'll lose a little bit on the sale. But it will be a little loss for me, but it'll get me back on track to saving for perhaps an Omega Aquaterra or a Tudor Oyster Date. That's where I have my goal set. Eventually I'll come back and own a dress chronograph, but it's a very beautiful watch. And let me take it off of the thing here. And again, I have it for sale on eBay, so if you're seeing this anywhere close to the day of publication, it's available. And a lot of glare there, pardon that in the background, but it is a beautiful chocolate dial. And let me wind it up and get it going. It has the Valjoux 7753, which is a really great classic workhorse of a movement. And now we got it going. Sort of a bronzish copper dial with the brown leather strap. The leather strap is in good condition. It's brand new. I find it to be really a good match for this. I've also tried this on my mesh bracelet, and it looked fabulous, and maybe I can put a picture of that up. And let's test out the chronograph. Get it moving there. One thing to notice about this is there's loom on the hour hand and the minute hand, and that really shows it, makes the time very readable. But you'll notice the chronograph hands and the sub-seconds hand are stainless steel, and it's hard to tell if they're bronzed as well, and they certainly blend in a little bit with the dial. So that can be a negative to this watch, or you could see it as a positive, so that the chronograph doesn't distract from reading the hands and reading the time on the watch. I'm a big fan of watches with the date window, but one of the criticisms of this watch is that that date window kind of really sticks out there at the 4:30, and that is true, but I would prefer to have it than not. I think the perfect place for a date window on a dress chronograph is at the 6 o'clock position. Just replace that 6 down there with a small, subtle date window, and you have a perfect design, in my opinion. Another thing to note is the numerals are not loomed, so I thought they would be. They look very similar to the hands. The only part that's loomed is the 12 o'clock pip, the 9, 6, and 3. So on a loom shot, you would just see the hands and those 4 dots. So it's readable at night. I've been able to see it quite well some 6 or 8 hours later in the morning. So the loom does last. Not the brightest loom, but it's functional. And of course the 7753 is a unilateral rotating automatic movement. You see it just spins very freely in the direction that it doesn't wind, but it does wind in the other direction, so it's winding there. But let's see if we can get a closer up look here. Very well decorated, just beautifully done. See if we can get it in there. And you'll notice the Capeland script on there. Pardon my fingerprints there. Let me clean that off a little bit. There we go, cleaned it off a little bit. So we have the Capeland logo there, Swiss made, and the Baume Mercier 50 meter water resistance. And even though this is 7753, they give it their own name for the movement, the BM137753. And you know, one thing that I didn't know much about Baume Mercier at all when I purchased it, except that they were a Swiss brand. If you were listening to Archie Luxury, I found an interesting video from him where he basically describes this. If the entire watch industry were a business, you know, Patek Philippe would be the president, the flashy owner, Rolex would be the salesman, and you know, Bob from accounting or Phil from accounting would be Baume Mercier. Just a, you know, hardworking, quiet, unassuming brand. It was founded in 1830, and Baume actually met Mercier in the 1920s, and in the 20s, Mercier began to really promote the brand. And they're a very reputable Swiss brand. Now in the 90s, as I've been reading about this brand, they really made some decisions that did not really bode well for them, kind of lost them some class, some reputation. But with the Capeland and the Hampton and the Classico and the other recent designs, this brand has really become to be more respected. And Baume Mercier is part of the Richemont group. They have quite some reputable brands as part of it. Sort of their entry-level luxury brand. They also feature A. Lange & Son, IWC, Cartier, Jaeger-LeCoultre, Montblanc, and a few others. So Vacheron Constantin is a part of that group. So you have some high-end brands that are associated, and this is sort of their entry-level luxury watch. And some would put Baume Mercier between Longines and Omega, if you're going to rank the brands. That's probably a fair assessment from the reading I've done. But Baume Mercier, there's a lot of fans out there. I've posted questions about this on the watch forums, and have over time met all the fans of Baume Mercier and telling me to keep the watch. If I don't get a decent price for this watch, I probably will keep it, wear it for a year or so, you know, get my money's worth out of the loss, and then I will sell it for a lower price. It's definitely a used. I'm selling this sort of as a new without tags, since it really is new. Without my fingerprints, it certainly is. I wanted to let you guys take a look at that in case anybody stumbles across this. It's a fantastic looking watch. Let's go ahead and stop the chronograph. You'll see the 3 o'clock position. You got the 30-minute dial. You have the 12-hour dial at the 6 o'clock position, and so we'll reset that. See a nice distinct snap to the 12 o'clock position. You have a tachometer bezel on the outside, a telemeter in red, a very nice red on the inside of that dial. And then moving further in, you have the minutes track, and that busyness just really works together. It's a very readable, very legible dial. And again, it's bugging me that this is for sale because I can't wear it. Why it's for sale, but I'll give it another few weeks, and if I don't get a buyer, I'll go ahead and keep it and enjoy it. One thing about it, it is 42. I should give you a little specs on it. It's 42 millimeter, which on my 7¼ inch wrist is a perfect fit. In fact, let me put it on the wrist and let you see it. And here we go on the wrist. You can see it just fits really centered very well on my wrist. Again, 7¼ inch wrist, and this is a 42mm. In fact, I've enjoyed the size so much that I think 42, I'm going to call 42 the perfect fit for my wrist. And just love the 42mm chronograph, vintage looking chronograph. You know, again, this is really in some ways the perfect watch for me, in that coloring matches. My wife tells me I'm sort of an autumn kind of coloring in my skin, and you know, browns are good for me, and this of course has a nice the brown dial. It's different than the other watches I have. So again, if I end up keeping this watch for another year or so, it'll be a pleasure to own and a pleasure to wear. And again, if you're interested, I'll put the eBay link below, and you can check it out. Well, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you if you give me a like, and appreciate any comments down below. Have a great day.